Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Denny and I do sports card hobby content. And this is a very important question that has been discussed online by many people. And I have waited to make this content because I wanted to make sure that I heard all sides and all aspects. And this by no means is the end all be all answer to any of this. And I just wanted to provide my 2 cents, 3 cents for inflation.
$20.71. Holy schmolies, $20.71.
Before taxes.
Before taxes.
About this particular topic. And so here we go. It is about, does the hobby equal gambling? Now, there are many different aspects to the hobby, as we know. For those of you who are newer to the hobby, maybe you don't know about some of these things, but I think for the most part, people who are watching this channel, you understand that there are many different things you can do in the hobby. But I wanted to talk about 4 particular things here. So Percy is for those of you who are not sure of what that means, it's personals. It's when you do a personal rip. You're not having a breaker open up the product for you. You just buy a box at your local card shop or you buy it online. You can just rip it for your personal enjoyment. And then you have breaks. Probably the most important thing about this video is whether breaks or gambling. And then we get grading. As you know, some of you, you can submit your cards to a grading company to find out what type of condition it's in, and they encapsulate it into plastic, and you are able to enjoy cards that way if you like. Some people don't like grading, and that's totally fine too. And then we have collecting. Now, I gotta say, let's start with this one first. Collecting, I think that when you are collecting, or let's say buying singles, maybe that's a better way of putting it, but when you are buying singles, a lot of people think that buying singles does not equal gambling because you're buying exactly what you want. Now, if you are, say, someone who is in it for the money aspect of the hobby, like you're trying to flip a card or invest in a card, it is a gamble. Because let's say you buy a card, I won't say any particular card name, but like if you buy a card for $100, it could go down to 50 due to player performance or the market of the player, or if they win some awards or they win some championships or do something.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
Getting into the zeitgeist of the hobby, then it could go up, right? So you can gamble, quote unquote, but I think even if you're buying singles, it can be a gamble. Now, if you're just collecting and you're not into the flipping and the investing, but if you're just a collector, ultimately it doesn't matter how much a card is, like you just enjoy it. You just collect that player, you collect that team, you collect a set, you collect the product, you collect that particular insert set, then you just want to collect, right? So I think collecting itself, there is no gambling. So when it comes to the collecting aspect of the hobby, no, I don't think it is considered gambling. So this one, I'm gonna say no, it is not considered gambling. Now let's go back up to Percy's and breaks. Now, Percy's, it's just, you are able to enjoy the product yourself. Breaks, you do split it up with other people. I wanna talk about breaks first because in breaks, a lot of people think that breaks are gambling because you are not guaranteed a hit. You're not guaranteed to get any sort of cards. Now, I think that this is really important. Gambling, technically, breaks are not gambling because, and if the breakers are smart, the smart breakers do this. Even if someone does not hit in a break, whether they get, the main cards or numbered card or an auto or a mem card, you are going to be getting base cards for that team. And even if they don't, they should be sending them something because so long as you're sending something to the person who bought into the break, then you are in a way doing something where they're getting something of value. Now, these base cards could mean 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent. Like we know base cards are not highly coveted in the hobby. And yet because they have some small monetary aspect, that is not gambling in the technical term, the technical definition of gambling. Now, it does have gambling aspects because yes, there's a random number generator. It's completely random. You don't know what you're going to get, right? Life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. That's where I cue in Forrest Gump here.
Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
But when it comes to the breaks, yes, it is like gambling because you have the unpredictability. You're not sure of what you're going to get, but you do get base cards. You do get at least base cards. Now, there are some breakers who send nothing.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Now, I think that they could be in violation of some, laws, sweepstake laws, and things like that. I'm not going to get into all the legality of all of this, but I will say that it would be really smart for, and I'm not giving any legal advice here, but I think it would be really smart for breakers, even if someone does not hit, that they mail the buyer of a spot or team or a divisional, whatever it is, to send them something. And I think that, again, take that for what you will. I'm not giving anyone advice as to what they should do as a breaker. So now that we talked about breaks, let's talk about Percy's, personals. Now, again, it is a gamble in the sense that you don't know what you're going to get, right? You do not know what's going to be in that box. Oh, I should also talk about repacks. I totally forgot about putting repacks in here. Now, for a repack, my understanding is if you have a floor, ceiling, and average and all that stuff, that you should be getting something, right? So repacks, it is not a gamble because you are getting something of value. Now, it could be like 30% of value, 50%. And the people who make the repacks say that it's better than getting into breaks and personals because you are getting better return. I don't like the term return on investment on wax unless you're keeping it sealed.
We got a 1987 Fleer factory set.
But let's say expected value. You have a better expected value from a repack than a personal or break. But as we know also, the thing that people really like with personals and breaks is you are able to hit really big, but the odds are that you are going to get like, I don't know, a lot of people say like 10 to 20% of the expected value or the value of the box. So repacks, they're saying, well, you know, the floor you can hit is like 30, 40, 50%. And then, you know, our ceiling is going to be, say, like 100 to 20, 120%, something like that. Now, every repack is going to vary. And I know a lot of hobby companies are getting into the repack business. I will say that I used to buy into repacks. I used to get into breaks. I don't anymore. I do like buying personal boxes on occasion, but as we know, the price of wax is pretty expensive. And, you know, I think for the most part, I am a collector at this point. I do like to buy singles. Do I like to grade, which we're going to get into shortly here? I do, but I also am maybe in general trying to get away from the monetary, the financial aspects of the hobby, because I think that I would like to just enjoy the hobby for what it is, which is hobby for leisure. But I will say that there have been times that I've gotten into too much of the commercial or consumer or financial aspects of the hobby. But going back to personals and repacks, complete random number generator. You have no clue. It's like the microtransactions. I think some companies outside of the hobby, like I think Counter-Strike, they got into issues with like the skins. They were making these microtransactions and you bought, you know, like $5 skins trying to get like a big thing. I think Overwatch is another one where you can do something like that. Fortnite, maybe. I don't know about that because I don't know, like V-Bucks or something like that. But when it comes to repacks, personals, and breaks, there is the randomness of what you do not know what you're going to get. And that is the hobby. It's just the gambling aspect. So technically it is not gambling because you are getting something of value. But in the essence, in the spirit of gambling, where you are putting in some sum of money and you do not know what you're getting, yes, it is in the spirit and the essence of the act of gambling. I do personally think that it is gambling. Now, in the classic definition of gambling, let's say you go to a casino and there's a roulette table and there's red and black and you're someone who likes to bet always on black.
You ever play roulette? On occasion. Well, let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on black.
And it hits black, then you get $200 if you put in $100, right? You get your original $100 and you get $100 on top of that. But if it hits red, then you get nothing.
Get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
And that's what gambling in the core essence of the word gambling is. You lose everything. You do not get anything back. That is true essence of gambling. But I think you get the point. I hope you do. But gambling, in my opinion, so that's why I have this third answer of maybe. I think that there are elements of gambling within repacks, Percy's, and breaks. But I think there's a large gray area. And that's what I think, you know, is precluding the, at least in America, right, Congress getting involved in all of this is because it is very gray and it does not run afoul of gambling laws. It's not like it has to be regulated because it is not a casino. I know a lot of people like to say that is the hobby a casino. There are aspects of it where it seems like a casino, especially with, say, like the repacks and like, you know, you're able to buy one after another and just see what type of cards you get. But if it was true gambling and it did squarely fall within the definition of gambling, I think there would be regulation. And so that's why I think the answer is maybe as to whether the hobby, at least some aspects, are gambling or not. Now, the final one I do want to cover is grading, because grading, as we know, if you grade with certain hobby companies, you are able to double your value, but you don't know what you're going to get. Are you going to get, a 10? Are you going to get a 9? Are you going to get a 9.5? Are you going to get even lower, right? Especially with the older cards, the vintage and the 90s cards. But ultimately, you do not know when you submit something, even if you have a very high certainty that you're going to get a Gem Mint 10, you do not know if you're going to get it. So even sending cards out to grading is a gamble. It is a random number generator. Maybe not completely random, because you feel like you have mitigated the risks. It's almost like you feel like you have a system. You figured out the roulette table. You figured out craps. You figured out blackjack. And I know blackjack does have card counting. But when it comes down to grading, it is, for the most part, out of your hands. You do not have control as to what your cards are going to grade. The other aspect of grading where maybe it's not gambling is, well, no, I won't get into that. So there you have it. Those are my opinions on whether the hobby is gambling. Again, I think ultimately it is not very black and white. It is a gray area of maybe. There are elements as to gambling within the hobby. There are certainly some that are more, that have more gambling aspects and elements to it. And if you disagree, or whether you agree, let me know in the comments. I'd be curious as to know what you think, because I think this is a discussion that is not going to go away, especially if there's more people who are trying to say that there needs to be regulation in the hobby. I personally don't think it's going to happen. I also don't know. I have no inside information, much like you don't. So I would love to hear what you have to say about this particular topic. And if you like this type of video, I think you'll like this video or that video. And so thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
All there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.